Hey guys, 8.6 is about to drop, so we're going to go over what to expect and break the changes down into something a lot easier to grasp. This is a big patch, but the new Conqueror keystone is going to be the biggest one, I think. I'll be doing a video on the best champions with it, but I do want to know who you think will be good with it and why, and if they turn out to be right, I'll stick a few of them in the video. We're going to start with the must-know changes. We might as well just start with Conqueror. As I said, this is a big patch though, so I'll chuck a few timestamps down below to make it easier to follow. It's a bit different to how we had on the PBE. It is a new precision keystone. After 4 seconds in combat, the first attack versus an enemy champion gives you a little bit of AD, 10 to 35 AD, and converts 20% of your damage into true damage for 3 seconds. For melee champions, that buff will actually refresh on each hit, so it'll be continuous and it's really good, not so much for ranged champions. It's really designed for bruisers like Darius who want to fight a lot, giving them a bit more of a damage-heavy rune set. The perfect kind of style though really would be for more someone who can ramp up their damage and not hard burst. You have to remember that this keystone does absolutely nothing until you have spent 4 seconds in combat. So like Jax, right, he wants to stack up his passive and his ultimate hits. That means by the time Conqueror procs, it is actually going to be way more deadly. Darius is one we talked about before, like stacking his bleed up and then Conqueror starts after that, right? It sounds really, really strong. 20% true damage is nuts, but if you die within 4 seconds or you use most of your damage at the start of a fight, it's not really going to do that much for you. I guess the point I'm trying to make is there are ways to play around this, but no doubt it actually does look very good. If you invite someone random into your lobby or you have an open lobby and somebody joins, they can instantly hear you and you can instantly hear them. That is a little bit of a strange change. It shouldn't be at the very start of 8.6 but turn on a little bit later, but just so you know and you aren't bashing one out quickly in lobby because they will now hear you do it. Anyway, moving away from that, the biggest change I think the champions this patch is going to be to Kaisa. She is the new champion obviously, so it's very hard to tell how good she is properly, but one thing that we kind of can tell is that she seems to suck when behind and be really good when ahead. These changes are really aimed at making her better earlier, helping her get ahead more often in games. So her range is up, it makes her safer, easier to play in the lane phase, but also in team fights, and apart from that range, the biggest change is how we might build her, maybe. Her AP ratios are just much better now on her Q and her passive, a lot more percentage damage if you build AP, and Q AP ratio was doubled, so that will really hurt. Your W actually has a lower AP ratio, but it's not enough. Because of the passive buffs, it does the same damage normally and more if it's evolved. Essence Reaver really seems like the go-to build at the moment, but I think having some more ability power with the new Rageblade might actually be really good for her. Her E and her ultimate are just made to feel a little bit better for her, but I think overall these are actually really good changes. It does rest on her building a bit more AP, but I could see that happening way more anyway, and even if not, you have 25 more range, so that is at least good. Now the Lucian changes are pretty decent, but let's see if they are enough. So you've got to remember that we had pressy attack buffs last patch will have helped him a little bit, so maybe he finally will be a bit better. His W is going to be doing a little bit more base damage. His ultimate ratio is going to be up as well for the AD ratio, so if you hit all the bolts, it will do actually quite a bit more. He still doesn't have like a really ideal build though, that's the problem, but I hope this finally makes him playable again, and not just for mid lane or top lane as well, I guess. 2 summoner spells are getting changed though, heal and ignite, so they're trying to make the lane phase a bit more deadly. More people take ignite, heal not up as often, and you should be getting more kills everywhere. This is going to affect mid lane and bot lane, I think especially bot lane though, to be honest. That's probably where you're going to feel it the most, and if you lose heal, it will feel even worse than before. The main thing that this is giving you is a bigger window to abuse somebody when you get their heal. So if you fight and they have to blow their heal, you now have a bigger time frame where you can fight again and it won't be up. It depends on which champion you are playing, but ignite will be much more worth the take, I think. Now I would love to see though a time we could take like barrier or cleanse by more ADs. I don't really know if that's going to happen. Heal is helping you and your support, so it's just so good, but maybe for mid lane, heal isn't as attractive as barrier. This one I'm kind of sad about. Rageblade is getting a bit of a rework, a big change for some champions, not for others. I really hope this does not kill the hybrid Varus I love playing, but it probably will a little bit. It's now best when paired with some ability power or some AD, and not just a non-hit build like we used to have. We'll definitely see a shift, that's for sure, and to be honest, it could work more as a last item on every AD carry now, even crit ones for a big damage boost. It's just got a lot lower base stats, but like more percentage instead, so it's worse early and in theory better later. On some champions who build AD and AP though, I could see this being really insane, like Jax for example, right? Buffs his AP, buffs his AD totals, plus attack speed and more on hit damage. I'd be surprised if it works as a first item anymore though, so expect to like shift your builds a little bit to more Wits End first and then maybe Rageblade later. AD carries in particular, I would bet that Conqueror and Varus would probably take a hit this patch and not be as good. There is another major item change though to Duskblade. There are a lot of champions by the way getting compensation buffs for this change, which we'll show at the end of the video. So if you want to see that, make sure you stay or skip till then. Duskblade itself is nowhere near as strong now though. You won't be able to nuke as hard, but it still does give you more burst potential than other items, so it still does its job, just not as well. It's supposed to be less of a one item spike now, if that makes sense, so that is why they are lowering, but there are a lot of champions that kind of have to have Duskblade in their build that are getting buffs. The last change you kind of have to know for this patch is there is a new rune as well called Chrysalis. I think that's how you say it. It's a new resolve rune that replaces Iron Skin and Mirror Shell. It grants 60 health, which changes to 9 AD or 15 ability power when you reach 4 takedowns. The idea behind this rune is for weaker laners who want to have some more safety then, but more damage later into the game. It is though in the same row as Second Wind and Conditioning, so it's got to be really good to kind of take over those, because those are solid. The bone plating, by the way, quick mention, also had its duration lowered to 3 seconds from 5. It's not a massive deal in an all-in fight. It will probably still absorb all 3 hits, but it should make it a little bit worse now for drawn-out trades. Okay, so our item section, a few changes. First one, Chrysalis Reverie, God, I can't say that, has been added to the game again. It really is just replacing Talisman. It grants the user and nearby allies 40% move speed for 3 seconds. Really to say here, except that it is back in the game now, just replacing the Talisman that was removed a few patches ago. Abyssal Mask is quite big though, so this isn't going to be as good on mages anymore like Rise or Cassiopeia. They've changed this so that the ranged champion should not feel the proper benefit, I guess, unless they're really close. Instead, this is really designed for a tank who wants to get right next to somebody. If a tank is in the middle of a team fight now, it will boost damage on that target they are on, but not really everybody around anymore. There are a few minor like AB item changes as well. Hextech GLP is going to cost a little bit less, and Archangel's the shield isn't going to be as good. The ratio has been lowered by 5%, and it only lasts 2 seconds instead of 3. Seraphs is a really popular choice on almost anybody right now for how much safety it adds, so this will probably bring it closer to Ludens and Hextech. Still though, Hextech, it just is not an amazing item except on a few champions. That is really the issue. The biggest item changes I think really were to Shiv and Rapid Fire Cannon. So the damage has been lowered on Shiv and it no longer deals bonus damage to minions, but the Rapid Fire Cannon does a bit more. Shiv was doing between 100 to 260 damage to minions, and that number could crit, so it could be a lot higher, but now it'll be doing 60 to 140. That is a lot lower for wave clear. For damage it is still okay, but it won't let you farm or stall the game as easily now. But we also have to remember that even though Rapid Fire Cannon is the same damage as Shiv now, Shiv can crit and Rapid Fire damage can't. The pure damage choice is still going to be Shiv anyway. You have a lot more potential burst damage, but like I guess that is how you look at it. Shiv is for damage, Rapid Fire Cannon is for the range and the energizing your fleet footwork, Rapid Fire Cannon and Shiv procs. Okay, so let's look at some champions then. Xayah and Rakan are both getting changes to make that lane weaker in general. It's become by far the strongest 2v2 lane bot, and hopefully this changes that more. So Xayah and Rakan's basic attacks are no longer going to trigger damage from each other's W on Xayah's W when it's active. The Rakan changes though, his Q and W AP ratios are up, his E shield range has been increased to 700 for everybody, but Xayah specifically has been lowered a little bit, though the max range is still the same. The Xayah change is a little bit weird to get around, but basically when her W was active with Rakan, when one of them basic attacked an enemy, both of their W damage would actually hit that enemy. That is why it did so much damage together, but now only their own damage is going to apply, so there's still some synergy, just not as good anymore. Rakan's interaction is a bit different. His one with Xayah is going to be no different, but he is just better with other AD carries in general now. We also have a lot of love for Lee Sin in this patch, which is nice. So energy regen will be better at later levels, so dueling should be a bit better, and farming I guess. His Q range has been increased by an extra 100, and his ultimate damage is up 0 rank 1, but 75 rank 2, and 150 rank 3. I'm not really sure, but I bet Lee Sin mains will take some time to get used to that Q range increase. It'll probably mess with them quite a lot. It can't be bad though, surely, and it's going to make up a little bit more for the Tracker's Knife removal. I know Fogshop though was talking about how a lot of Lee Sin mains now take Ingenious Hunter in Domination Tree. That reduces your trinket cooldown, so you can ward hop with them and you jump more to get around that way. So Quinn has got a few things. Her base AD and AD growth are up, and there are a ton of bug fixes and quality of life stuff in here. The AD growth is nice, I know that part. The other stuff are a ton of bug fixes, and I don't play Quinn. I have no idea, honestly, if those are big problems or not, but she might actually be better in 8.6 if that did fix things for her. Okay, so last up we have the Duskblade buffs to compensate for Graves, Kayn, Kha'Zix, Misfortune, Nocturne, Rengar, Shaco, Talon, Wukong, and Zed. I don't want to make this video really long, so I will not go into all of them, breaking them down. They are all supposed to be the same power level anyway, roughly. There are a few interesting ones we can quickly look at though. Like Graves' AD per level is up, and that is a good buff for Bruiser Graves, who didn't buy Duskblade anyway, even though not many people play him, to be fair, at the moment, but it should be good. Kha'Zix is back to having 100% bonus isolation damage, and that damage has been increased at the same time. I know he's getting nerfs from the Duskblade angle, but if he finds you alone, you're in probably even more trouble than before. Misfortune's AD growth per level has been doubled. It was really low though to start, so it's going from 1 to 2, which isn't isn't the highest anyway. It is a nice change for her, but it's not like as broken as it sounds. Zed is another one I do kind of want to look at very quickly because I think these changes could be good for good Zed players. It sounds a little bit weird, but basically they have removed the penalty for hitting more than one Q on the same target now. It used to be that the first one would do full damage, then the ones after it would do 75%. Now them all doing 100% though. If you hit all three of them in a proper combo, it could do a lot of damage. His ultimate is also going to be buffed as well, like 25 to 45% sword damage. It's now going to be 25 to 55%. The extra 10% doesn't sound massive, and I know that Duskblade did kind of count into that at the same time, but you're going to have a better team fight now in theory, and it might help him scale just a bit better. Wukong's Q finally will now have a 1.5 total AD ratio, and that is insanely high for total AD. Late game, that is going to really hurt for sure. Just to put it into perspective, it was 1.1 before, now it's 1.5 when you've maxed it. As if that wasn't good enough as well, his AD per level is actually getting buffed, and that is going to feed into that new better total AD ratio on his Q. So that is going to be 8.6 quickly broken down. It is a very big patch, but let's see what effect it actually has in game. Thank you for watching, and for now, I will leave you with the robots.